welcome back. I'm Tedward, and this is Any Moto Guy's tuned 2020 Toyota Supra. Now, take a deep breath and out. Now, get out all those BMW comments early. All right, cool. We're good? Let's go play with this because I've driven this car before. I've even reviewed this car on the channel before. But now, instead of 335 horsepower, which it came from the factory, it has 450 wheel horsepower and 480 pound-feet of torque. That's possible because of an ECU flash tune from Speed Industry. It's a stage 2 93 octane tune. So hey, we don't have to do any funny business hunting around for E85 or race fuel. Pump gas, that's the way to go on your street car. He's also squeezed on quite a bit more rubber on these 19-inch wheels, and he's got 305s in the rear and 275s up front. Typically these run stock 275 rears, so we'll have fun with that. Probably my favorite modification on this car, and I am probably the loudest person about how much I hate the wind buffeting in the Toyota Supra. It drives me absolutely bananas. But this Verus engineering piece right here, honestly, so far, it solved the problem, and we'll talk about that more as we drive. But from what I've seen already, it's gone. You can drive the car with the windows down now. Ha, what a treat. And if you hate the fake vents, he's taking care of that on the door with this carbon piece. Very nice. Let's go under the hood because he's dressed it up really nicely. It's pretty nice under there. We've got a bunch of Eventuri bits here. So this is just a cover, but he's got an Eventuri cold air intake. Then we've got these cool BMS strut braces with the Verus caps all around. So overall, just nice and clean. Nothing crazy, but just enough to let him know you cared about your car. It's not boy racer, it's exciting, it's classy. I dig it. Eventuri stuff looks good. Inside there's a few little carbon accent pieces that he's added, pretty tasteful, but the big thing is this steering wheel. Now, I'm not totally sold on this, only because of the carbon fiber wheels, and I'll say that about anything. You give me a Koenigsegg with a carbon fiber wheel and I'm like, it's slippery. But what I love about this is that up here when we're driving, you'll see we get some extra information. I can't complain about a steering wheel that's gonna tell me my oil and water temp on the dot. But let's start it up so you can hear this exhaust. Ooh, red button. Now that is with the valves closed. Once we're warmed up, we'll get a better sound for it, but that's the frequency intelligent 200 cell catted turbo back exhaust. Yeah, it flows a little better. On the wheel, we can see our shift lights, and then if I use this button, first it's telling me my engine speed, so it's just telling me exactly 986 RPM and wheel speed 0 miles per hour. Then I can come here. This is what I'm really interested in because I get my water temp and my oil temp, so I know when I can start pushing this. It also gives me what appears to be engine load and boost pressure in bar, fuel, voltage. Cool. He's added these great little carbon paddles. So when I do want to shift myself, it is entertaining and fun. Rear end really dances on throttle. I can tell for certain that traction control is doing a bit of work here for me. If we pop it into sport mode, and that's another thing I like about this car is there's not a whole bunch of modes. It's kind of just you're in normal or sport, and it doesn't change the power, but boy, is that a burble tune. So, personally, not a burble tune guy, but I can appreciate it. It's fun. Like I'm not complaining about this. I'm making a bunch of noises in someone else's car. I can appreciate that. Police officer ahead. I think we turn the burble off. Nice ferocious shifts. But you know, the little bite from that exhaust on the upshift really strikes a chord with me. That's a lot of fun. Let's see how she handles with these 305s out back. I would suggest pad slapping it. Oh, wow, this is a lot of grip now. Yikes. I would recommend adding grip to your Supra. This is outrageous. Holy cow. But the compromise up front with the 275 tire up there, you're gonna lose a little bit of steering feel. But wow, does this have some turn and grip. Yikes. I've got to give them so much credit for the transmission tune on this car. It is really good. I mean, really good. You'd never expect an automatic to be able to do what this does, especially after an ECU tune. You know, it's still keeping up very well. So kudos to Toyota and BMW, because this just makes so much sense. Hustles. Nice healthy dose of mid-range torque. Yeah, so 450 horsepower, right? 450 horsepower is not outrageous. 480 pound-feet of torque, though, that's the number that I like about this, because it gets out of the hole. You just ask for it and it's gone. If you had an additional trim level of Supra, this is the kind of power and delivery that I would expect to get from it. 4,000 RPM, we're just gonna punch it for the pass. Just a hair of hesitation. I went flat, you wait, but it's like a half a beat. It's not anything scary. It's not anything you wouldn't anticipate. This is great. I really like the way the Supra looks, although it is rather phallic. And because you have such a long nose ahead of you, I do find that it can be a little tricky to place in very tight situations because you're sitting low, the hood is high. It's officially fast enough that I have to really think about where I use the power. Of course, you want to make sure you're not just ripping through a road where there's turnouts and stuff. You know, choose your battles. I like this. This chassis is just so good. It's so rigid, but it's also forgiving. I mean, look, driving over railroad tracks. So much fun. And the power delivery is not spiky and aggressive and unpredictable like the S55 and the M3 and M4. I really love the way power comes through this car. The crackles and bangs, they don't fly under the radar. You're not going to yeah, you're gonna cause a bit of a stir. You're not gonna fly under the radar with this exhaust. You can feel traction kick in just a little bit. It's incredible that it's so ready to break loose, these 305s, but 480 pound-feet of torque is nothing to scoff at. I like it because I can use this low end and it still sounds good. Sometimes these cars where now you've got all these like beefy low end mid-range turbo cars, they don't sound very exciting when you're on it. This engine, this P58, man, it's a good power plant. Again, visibility in this car, always going to be an issue, but it's a sacrifice you make for a sports car sometimes. That's why you buy a 911, right? Ah, squirrel! I'm not positive he lived. It's definitely a different animal with the tune. Don't you love that? This gearbox is really ready to rock and roll when you are ready for it. It thinks ahead of you. Like, I know that if I had this on a track and I brake hard, it's going to be giving me the downshift. Oh, but you can absolutely tell that even on 305s, it's struggling to put down the power. This throttle mapping is just dead on. It's not too sensitive. It's not too long of a throw to get what I want. I can control it mid-corner. Even if I hit a bump, I'm not like bouncing off of it. Yes, yes. The biggest thing against this car to me was the wind buffeting. It was just so unacceptable, but the little, and I swear to God, this is not sponsored, but the Verus engineering little thingies here, those kind of did the trick. I've been driving around off camera with the windows up and down and stuff. It's much better, much better. Little to no buffeting. I'm very sensitive to that. I'm like, I don't like the lines in my socks, so I certainly don't like the buffeting in my ears when it comes to these cars. And not being able to drive with the windows down seemed like an outrageously stupid oversight on the part of Toyota. That's just absolutely unacceptable. So thanks to these aftermarket companies for making that work. People would literally ask me, like, should I buy a Supra? I'm like, no, the wind buffeting. And it handles bumps. not a great road. I mean, there's not holes in it, but it's frost heaves. There's all kinds of stuff in it, and it's handling. I don't feel scared. I don't feel like it's gonna toss me off the side of it because I hit the wrong bump. That's kind of a big deal. Definitely would not do this in that 440 horsepower Miata. Even the GT86, that turbo BRZ, I think it would have been a little stiff for this. The Supra is like the realistic sports car. Like, yeah, you actually live in the world. You don't live on a racetrack. I want to be able to enjoy my car and not destroy it because it's slammed to the ground and it's so stiff that my teeth fall out. Frankly, I just don't think the Supra deserves quite the controversy that it has. Now, I'm fine if people like really wanted a fully Toyota built thing. I agree with that. I would have loved to see a full Toyota Supra, no BMW, anything interwoven, just with a fully Toyota power plant and drivetrain and chassis and all of the things. So I get the disappointment from the Toyota fans. However, to say that this car is not capable or entertaining or driver focused is just to be completely ignorant of the driving experience behind this car. But I just never really thought it was fair to compare it to the C8 Corvette. I don't think they serve the same purpose, and I think obviously the price puts it in a category where it becomes an issue. And I know I sound like the leave Britney alone guy when I'm like, just give the Supra a chance. But it's pretty good. I'm entertained. So yeah, okay, fine. I'm a little conflicted about the positioning of the car and the fact that it wasn't fully Toyota developed. But I like it still. And I think that's worth something, right? So thank you guys so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Don't forget to respect the drive. Definitely tune your Supra. Yes, 100%. Go tune your Supra immediately. Thank you to V, Any Moto Guy, for letting me drive the car. And I'll see you in the next one.